Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Darrell Waltrip, his first pole at Daytona. Outside the front row, Kyle Petty, Davey Allison, and Ken Schrader in the second row. Back in the third row, Neil Bonnet, Phil Parsons, Sterling Marlin, Morgan Shepherd make up the fourth row. In the fifth row, Buddy Baker and Jeff Bodine, Bobby Hillen Jr., and Ricky Rudd, the sixth row. The seventh row, Joe Ruttman, Terry Labonte, Mike Alexander driving for the ailing Bobby Allison, and Jimmy Means. The ninth row, Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt. The outside of the ninth row, Rusty Wallace, the points leader, and Mark Martin, the 10th row. The 11th row, Alan Puicki from Wisconsin, Eddie Birschwald. The 12th row, Buddy Arrington and Rick Wilson. The 13th row, Cale Yarborough, Benny Parsons, then Richard Petty and Michael Waltrip. The 15th row, Ken Bouchard and Greg Sachs. 16th, Ernie Iron and Larry Moyer. Patty Moise is the first woman to drive at Daytona in over 10 years. Ken Reagan, the outside of the 17th, and Derek Kopp, Bill Elliott on the 18th row. Cope. That's what am I doing? Yeah. Right. There you go. So let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Firecracker 400 miles, 160 laps. His first pole at Daytona, Darrell Waltrip. Looking back through the field, Bonnet, Parsons, Marlin, and Shepherd make up the fourth row. The interesting thing about this field, as we look at Baker and Bodine and Hillen sitting in the fifth row, is that there are a number of very big names sitting well back into the field. Richard Petty celebrates his 51st birthday here today. Patty Moise is the first woman to drive at Daytona in over 10 years. And way back at the back, because he was late for the drivers' meeting this morning, scheduled to start 18th, A.J. Foyt, but he will start 42nd. The field now moving toward turn number 3.
Yes, A.J. was late because he had been to Cleveland to qualify for an IndyCar race, and he was late getting back, didn't make the drivers' meeting, and the rule is you've got to go to the back.
42 cars are vying for a purse of $549,000. And, of course, that extra $150,000 to the points leader at the end of this race, the halfway point in the Winston Cup season. Now, the field under control of the pace car, moving off of the fourth turn. Darrell Waltrip, Kyle Petty making up the front row. Kyle Petty certainly looking for a win here in that Wood Brothers Ford. Excellent starting position. Every time they put the car on the outside of that front row, they seem to do very well at Daytona. Pace car peels off now. Starter, green flag in hand, checks the field over, looking for a green flag. Green flag flies. Waltrip jumps into the lead, filed by Petty as they run into the first turn. Second row stays aligned. Waltrip pulls out a bit of a lead there, and a surprising lead for this early.
Well, it is, Paul, because he did get the jump on the start, and that puts him in a very advantageous position now, because if he can get out and break the draft, then he can run by himself and hold his own.
So Waltrip comes to the backstretch, already pulling out about a 6-car lead. The battle is for second place as Kyle Petty tries to hold off the challenge.
You can see someone there trying to find a place in line to get back in, because if you don't, you go way back to the tail end.
The key to Daytona, of course, as the field closes now down on the back of Waltrip's number 17, is the draft. If you can pull the draft, then you can win here. It is a critical factor. as now down to the inside, making his move for second place is Phil Parsons. And Parsons slides into second. As they come to the stripe, Davey Allison fell from third to ninth in that first lap, and John, that is probably an example of exactly what the problem will be if you get out of the line of that draft.
Yes, it is. If you don't stay in line and stay in that freight train, you can move clear to the back, and Davey Allison just experienced that.
On the backstretch now, Darrell Waltrip, number 17, followed by the 55 car. That's Phil Parsons running in second place. Into the high banks, 31 degrees of banking at Daytona International. And back at the back of the field, one car beginning to lose an engine and a spin. Darrell Waltrip leads him to the stripe. Two cars tangle, one of them Yarborough. Now several cars involved as we've got a melee coming off of the fourth turn. It began when one car started to have an engine go at the conclusion of the lap as he entered turn 4. And now you can see the results of that as oil sprayed on the track. Yellow flag, caution period here at Daytona. So Darrell Waltrip leads at the conclusion of the second lap with the caution out here at Daytona International. So the Firecracker is underway and under yellow, and we'll have more coming up later on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
What a chain reaction.
Well, they could have seen it coming.
Yeah. I don't know why the spotters didn't have that up. Benny Parsons is one of the cars down there. Okay. Go ahead, man.
Understand and watch where you are. So the camera car is gone already?
Bud Moore's car. Brett Bodine out. We have, is that Jarrett? Is Jarrett? Yeah. Or is Cale? Got an ambulance at Cale's car. An ambulance over on the other side, but nobody knows.
I think those are just waiting stations. Okay, who lost it first, you know? Okay. Watch. Yeah.
Wicky and Yarborough. Denny, there was two more. Oh, the sound was incredible on that thumping. Did you hear that? Hear them thumping? Dropping sacks of sand.
The onboard provide anything? Well, let's take a look at this situation as we look at Alan Kowicki's car, and keep an eye at the upper right-hand corner of the screen. That's Kowicki. He lost control, John, I think because an engine let go.
Yes, and he collected Cale Yarborough, and of course Cale pinned this other car. Let's see, that's car number 90, Benny Parsons, who was gathered up, and then we see the chain reaction back in the pack. Kowicki slides back across the track, collects two more cars. They get into each other, and it was quite a reaction. It's a wonder that more cars weren't gathered up in that. You can see Richard Petty right in the middle of the screen coming through.
6 cars actually involved: Brett Bodine, Benny Parsons, Cale Yarborough, Alan Kowicki, Derek Cope, and Ken Bouchard, all involved in this accident. And some
today we saved all the guys. All of these were saved.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. I will have just seen it for reference. Here you'll see the in-car on this one.
Yes.
Here's a look at the replay. Keep an eye on that upper right-hand corner. There is Kulwicki as he slides and slams into Cale Yarborough.
Collects Cale Yarborough, who in turn gets Benny Parsons and nails him. He spins across, and the chain reaction begins in the back. Kulwicki comes across the track, picks up 2 cars, and then other cars sliding, spinning. You can see Richard Petty coming through the center.
Typical chain reaction accident. Now from inside Benny Parsons' car.
You can see Benny hold his hand up there. He knew something was going on. He saw Kulwicki. Bang! He gathers him. He gets slammed into the wall by Cale, spinning around, and of course, Benny's day is over.
And you can see, too, just how violent those impacts are as Benny was slammed around in the cockpit, pitched sideways twice there in that very short period of time.
Well, Alan Kulwicki, it was a short... Well, Alan Kulwicki, it was a short day for you. What happened?
Very short. We blew the engine in the Xerox Amoco Ford Thunderbird going in the third turn, and I almost had it saved, but finally the oil and water got on the tires, and it spun around. A bunch of cars behind me ran into me, and it wrecked my car pretty bad and several others pretty bad, but fortunately the most important thing is it looks like nobody was hurt.
You just came out of the infield infirmary. Benny Parsons, Cale Yarborough in there. Did you get a chance to talk to them?
I didn't see Benny, but Cale's fine and Brett's fine, and I think Benny is. You know, like I said, the only good thing is that nobody got hurt.
Paul?
68-10. Okay. All right. Okay.
You're shy one car there.
Exactly. Actually, they're track
2 on that,
but they're being worked on in the garage.
Bless the camera. Let's go. Well, Cale Yarborough, you got collected in that Alan Kowicki incident.
Well, I sure did. I saw Alan's engine blowing, and I knew I had to get down low, but as I went low, he finally spun and just tagged me as I went by. Almost made it by, but not quite.
Well, another driver that was involved here is Brett Bodine. And Brett, you were nursing a sore chin. What happened?
Well, Jackie, we come up off the corner, like Cale said, and Alan had blown, and I made a hard cut to the left, but Derek Cope was there, and he run in the side of me, and it pushed me into Alan. Just, you know, one of those things you can't avoid when there's oil and all that debris on the racetrack.
We're back at Daytona after a 6-car chain reaction accident. Let's go down the pit area. Jackaroo. These 4 cars definitely out as a result of that accident when Kowicki's engine blew coming off of 4. 2 others, the 68 car of Derek Cope and the 10 car of Ken Bouchard, are being worked on in the garage area with some hopes that they will get back into the race. So here's the top of the order. Waltrip followed by Parsons, Schrader, Shepard, and Bonnet as we're ready to come back to the green flag, again led by Darrell Waltrip.
You know, those situations happen so quickly out there, Paul. If one car gets in trouble and gathers up, as in this case, 6 cars were out of the race just on the second lap.
We talked about the restrictor plate and how it inhibits power. And what about the possible effect on that in an accident like this as the green flag comes out? And it is Waltrip, followed by Parsons. Into the first turn, Ken Schrader in 3rd. Shepard sits in 4th place. Is it possible that some cars don't have enough power to get out of trouble?
I don't think that's the case, Paul. Everybody's dealing with the same deck out there, so it's a situation where you've got to play it, and it was just an unfortunate incident where everybody got gathered up in a chain reaction.
To the backstretch, Waltrip, the 17 car. As the top 3 put themselves together, Parsons, Schrader. Schrader closes in behind Parsons now. As Phil Parsons goes high, begins to make a challenge on Waltrip as they come off of 3 and in through 4. Waltrip hauls her down to the low side of the corner, goes through some oil dry from the accident. No problem for the car as now Parsons begins to forge ahead. He has a nose on Waltrip coming to the line, and then Waltrip going into turn 1, pushes back into the lead. Now they're side by side.
Phil Parsons has been having an excellent year. He won a race at Talladega, so he is primed and ready. And of course, running on the outside like that, Darrell has a car that works extremely well around the bottom of this racetrack. So Phil is going the long way around and doing it the tough way. If he takes the lead, he will have earned it.
The battle at the front of the pack as 7 cars up at the front of the field. But it is Parsons and Waltrip that fight. Bodine now comes and sticks his nose into 3rd place at the moment. Schrader pushed to the high side. Bill Parsons in 2nd place now. The fight for 3rd at the moment, but really a fight for the top 7 places. As once again, it is Parsons that is able to put a nose just ahead of Waltrip at the line, but then the momentum carries Waltrip ahead in the first turn.
Car number 5, Bodine started back in 10th place and has moved up. He's obviously got his car hooked up, working quite well, because there you see him running on the bottom, challenging for the lead.
Other cars moving well. Dale Earnhardt, part of that points fight for the $150,000. passed 5 cars as the green came out and is now running in 12th place as the fight continues at the front of the field. And Waltrip is able to use that low side of the track, and that gives him the run going into 1 and 2, but then Parsons takes over coming into 3 and 4.
It really does, but you see the car moving to the left there. Parsons is now starting to show some gain. He's pulled out, and the reason for that is that Waltrip is running side by side back there. Now you see him start to fade back a little bit. The cars stay in line. They run much faster, Paul. When you get side by side, then they start dragging down, and you can see Parsons starting to inch ahead and get a little bit of daylight.
And Darrell Waltrip drops back as now Phil Parsons leads at the Firecracker 400, followed by Ken Schrader. We'll be back with more after this. It is really tough to tell when they get on the back stretch.
Morgan Shepherd's staying there too. Nice job on the third. I don't know how it's John Blank and Phil Parsons. Stumble, fumble. Different groups, distinct groups, the lead pack, middle runners who persist in running side by side, which actually slow you down. So you need to get in line. See, the lead group is pulling away because they're staying in trail in that.
Okay. We're back at Daytona, the Firecracker 400, where Phil Parsons leads it. There are 5 cars strung together at the front of the field. Parsons, followed by Ken Schrader, Morgan Shepherd, Sterling Marlin, and Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip started on the pole, but he has dropped back into 5th place. For Phil Parsons, his 2 best NASCAR finishes were a win at Talladega and a 3rd place here in the Daytona 500 back in February. Let's go to the pits now and Jerry Punch.
Well, Paul, possibly an early problem for Richard Petty. The King came through that crash a few minutes ago up in turn 4 and got a cracked windshield. Some debris flying has cracked the windshield. That's not the serious problem. His crew chief in cousin Dale Emma said they may have an oil leak. Now, NASCAR has been watching that car very closely. The car pitted. They had a puddle of oil beneath the car, so they're watching it, hoping that maybe it was a small leak and they may have fixed it. But keep an eye on the King, Richard Petty.
Petty, car number 43. celebrates his 51st birthday today, and he said he hopes the second 50 years is better than the first, Johnny Rutherford. There is Richard Petty.
Yes, Richard Petty, the king of this racetrack and of NASCAR. He does a creditable job anywhere he goes, and 51's not that old.
And while we watch Richard Petty, we should perhaps mention that Kyle Petty, who started on the outside of the front row, has now dropped back to 10th place. The report is that he's dropped a cylinder, and the car is only running on 7. Now, again, if we follow the restrictor plate situation, if you have that problem happen, you're losing even more power, substantially more power, John.
Yes, it makes the engine more critical because you're dealing with 200 less if you didn't have the, if you didn't have a restrictor plate, you'd have 200 more horsepower. So obviously when you take away any more than that, you have really got a problem.
No change at the front of the field. Phil Parsons, followed by Schrader, then Morgan Shepherd, Marlin, and Darrell Waltrip, all running together. And these 5 have been smart enough to drop into line and use the aerodynamic advantage of one another. They're actually pulling each other along.
Yes, it's like one car, you got 6 engines, 5 engines there in one car because they're all staying together, sharing the same air, so to speak. But you can see the other cars in the second group, they're kind of all side by side, and that slows you down.
We've talked about this restrictor plate. It is one of the rule changes that NASCAR instituted over the winter to slow the cars down and make them safer. There were other considerations as well. So Jack Arute takes a look at the NASCAR changes.
Anything you can do is great to hell, really.
And several cars did get sideways during that lap 2 accident, so maybe that aerodynamic idea has now been tested in reality, and hopefully it works. Phil Parsons out in front of this field, and he's running laps at 190.4 miles an hour. In second place is Ken Schrader, followed by Shepherd, Marlin, and Waltrip. And they run tightly together, and these 5 cars are beginning to run away from the 6th place car, which at the moment is Dale Earnhardt. The interval from 5th back to 6th is 3.1 seconds. We'll be back with more from Daytona after this. Would you say that you wrecked your car, John.
What was that? Did you see that second back at lead?
Yeah.
The car dove to the bottom. Woo! Who was that? Who was that masked man? He'll drive right up. Was that Mike Alexander? See who that was.
That one running high right now?
That dove, yeah, he's running right in front of Ricky Rudd there in the 3 cars. Yeah, it was Mike Alley. He nearly lost the front down there. Just really got out of shape. Which number? Phil Parsons.
Back at Daytona, the 55 Oldsmobile of Bill Parsons started 6th, runs in the lead. Darrell Waltrip has moved up to the front and tried to challenge, and now has dropped back into 4th place once again. In 2nd place, Sterling Marlin, Morgan Shepherd runs in 3rd. So the front of the order remains about the same, but the leaders are now beginning to encounter some back marker traffic. And with that encounter, Dale Earnhardt is moving forward. Earnhardt started 20th. He is now running 5th and is trying to catch up with the 5 cars that are running in the lead pack. Now, Phil Parsons won at Talladega. We asked him, how much of a change has there been now? What effect has there been since you have moved to the victory circle? And now Dale Earnhardt has moved up into 4th place. So Earnhardt, a key figure in that points battle, started 20th, has moved to 4th. Rusty Wallace, who started 19th, is now running in 15th place.
It's clear that Dale Earnhardt has a strong race car today, as he always usually does at this place. He's moving quite well. I'm surprised Rusty Wallace hasn't made more of a move, but he's been caught back in a slower pack.
Earnhardt sitting back on the bumper of the 33 car of Morgan Shepherd, and now running in 4th place. Just ahead is Marlin, and of course at the front of the pack is Bill Parsons. Bill Elliott's number 9 car, who started 34th, has also made his moves, and he is up and now running in 13th place. But the most spectacular move comes from the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt, now running in 4th.
Well, we've seen this lead group of 5 cars pull away from the pack, and then suddenly everyone in the back lines up, gets together, and catches them again. So it's quite a race.
And exactly what you suggested at the start of this race, John. You have to be very careful where you make your move. Now Marlin moves around Parsons and is able to move there without any problem at all. So Sterling Martin makes his move. Parsons drops back into 2nd place. We'll be back with more from Daytona right after this.
Dale's right there. Look at Dale.
Back at Daytona, where Dale Earnhardt is not only moving for the win of this race, but trying to pick up the $150,000 for midseason as he moves around Marlin and picks up the lead. So Earnhardt now leads. Sterling Martin and Buddy Baker have moved up into third place. So Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah. Baker trying to get back in the lead lap. But he's going for it.
Fran, are you right? You have Baker in the right place? Are you sure? Are you sure of that, John?
I thought they caught him. I thought it was for the...
Hey, John and Paul, two things that you might want to remember is, you know, when you saw the 12 car and the problem they were having, they lay the spoilers down so low here during this race that you really have got a lot of bad air. And when you're running in a train like that, you can move each other around, and that's one of the things in order to compensate for the restrictor plate that these guys will do is it's almost like Johnny running without any spoiler at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's also, in the case of Waltrip, what he's done is the air is so bad in that lead pack that he just dropped back and said, you know, there's going to be more caution, so I'm going to try and find some clean air.
Yep, got that.
Okay, that's all I wanted to tell you.
Thank you, thank you. Buddy Baker was caught, didn't they catch that?
No.
Huh? He was in the group, in the lead group. Caught him. Okay. Wilson is going by for second.
Mike, are the pit guys getting enough with us silent here, or should we add some stuff to them every time? Leaders to the pits, guys. Leaders to the pits. I know, I'm just telling you. Probably good. We're about now 65, 70.
Part. Yep. In and out. Deep back. They're all going to, unless they get a yellow, he's looking pretty good. Got it running, huh?
Yep.
Or he's running. Jack was hung under, Jack was hung under car number 1, and he just flung it off to the edge of the pit apron. See that? Couldn't get it loose. How do we want to deal with that? Carl is in. That's Darrell's first pit. That's his first pit stop. Yep. Stayed out on that pit. They had a lot of yellow at the beginning. Pit stop.
The latest car to enter the garage area, young Davey Allison. And Davey, they're still working on the car. What's the problem?
Well, we're not quite sure yet. They're going to take the valve covers off and see if we broke them off.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, they could problem with our feed. The latest car into the garage area, young Davey Allison. Davey, what's... In the garage area, Davey Allison. Davey, what's the problem?
Well, something happened to the engine, and they're seeing if they can fix it right now. And, you know, that's a shame. This old Have One Star Thunderbird was running good again. We just can't seem to get a break here lately. I don't know what the problem is.
They think they may have broken a valve and maybe lost a cylinder. They're going to try to work on the car and get him back out and collect some of those valuable points. Gentlemen? They're getting pretty close to being ready to go out. Davey Allison has pulled his Ford in the garage area. Davey, what seems to be the problem?
Well, we're not sure right now, Jerry. Something happened to the engine, and they're trying to see if they can find out what it was. It just started missing, and that's a shame. Our old Have One Star Thunderbird was running good again, and thought we had a good shot at this Firecracker 400 today.
They think they may have lost a cylinder here in the Ford. They're going to try to fix it and get him back out and collect some of those valuable points. Gentlemen?
the crews do down here is they look to see what cars are drafting with what cars.
Yeah.
Earnhardt's crew is very much concerned with the second-place team of, well, actually of Labonte and the 25 car Schrader, because wind tunnel tests have shown that that's the hot ticket for a draft, is to have a Chevrolet draft an Oldsmobile. And it's gotten that precise that you look for the type of car to draft off of.
Ah, okay.
So I thought maybe you might want to know that.
Labonte and
Labonte and Schrader are the ones that have got everybody scratching their head right now. They tend to be, based on paper, that should be the best drafting team.
all right. Good.
Showed him the wall.
That too is an old World War AAA combination.
What happened?
Actually, Jackie.
AJ, what happened?
Well, we dropped the silver.
AJ, what happened?
Actually, Jackie, something broke in the motor.
So now you're off to Cleveland, double duty this weekend.
Right, we're off there in just a little while.
He said he broke a cylinder. He's going to back this car up, and then he's getting on his Learjet, and he's going off to Cleveland to run in the kart race tomorrow. Gentlemen? I hear you.
Car, Bodines. This is still viable. they put Marlin back. That's good.
At the Firecracker 400, I'm Paul Page with Johnny Rutherford, Jack Arute, and Jerry Punch. Rick Wilson now runs in the lead. We've had 2 series of pit stops, one just after 100 miles and just a tick after 200 miles. Earnhardt sits back in second place now, followed by Shepard, Schrader, Marlin, Rudd, Waltrip, and Parsons. As we take a look at the cars out of the race, remember that lap 2 accident took several cars. A.J. Foyt, who won his first NASCAR race here, retired on the 75th lap, and Allison has been suffering problems with his engine on his machine. The race at the moment, 99 laps are complete. We've had 8 different leaders and 15 different lead changes. And that single caution period started at lap number 2 with that multi-car accident involving 6 different cars. And the good report is there were no injuries in that accident. Again, the safety prevails in NASCAR. And we indicated that Davey Allison pulled into the garage area. Let's go down there now. Jerry Punch. They're running in 10th place is the 12 car of Mike Alexander. He is replacing Bobby Allison in that car. Of course, the concerns and the prayers of everybody here at Daytona ride with Bobby Allison, hoping for his recovery. And that has been the talk throughout the week, throughout the practice, concern for Bobby Allison. Mike Alexander, 135 pounds and 5'5", as he manhandles that machine around in 10th place. He finished 10th last week. Back to the leader now, Rick Wilson, as he runs out in front of this field, being chased by Dale Earnhardt. And then that all-important points battle now, with Earnhardt running in second place. Rusty Wallace is back in 16th position. And in the points race, Earnhardt has now slashed his deficit. He came in here 130 points behind. He is right now 60 points behind. It's the first time in 3 years, though, that Earnhardt has come into this late race not leading the points, so there's still that fight for the $150,000.
Well, it's going to be quite a fight. Wouldn't you fight for 150 grand? I'll tell you, Rusty Wallace, I think, just has to finish this thing in a respectable position today, and he'll have the 150 grand. But still, the race is going on. And you know, Paul, it's been interesting to note to see that there's not the long drafting trains. It seems like there's been clusters of cars, 5 and 6 maybe, running together, and 3 and 4 running together, but not the long 15-car train that we've been used to seeing here recently. So it's a different kind of a race, and there have been some like Rick Wilson, who have asserted himself. He's strong. He's running very strong out there today.
Rick Wilson right now behind Bill Elliott in the number 9 car. The Ford and Oldsmobile hooked up there. And, of course, Elliott is trying desperately to stay on the leader lap as the leader, Rick Wilson, set up right behind him. But Wilson seems content to stay in that draft and use it, as that's Mike Alexander down on the inside.
Well, that's, it's a must. If they would get a yellow right now, that would put Elliott in the catbird seat because he would gain a lap back. Right now, he's fighting for that one lap, and that can mean the difference.
So Bill Elliott just ahead of Rick Wilson. Dale Earnhardt out of your picture rides in second place. Morgan Shepherd, the 33 car, rides in third. This will be the last run of Morgan Shepherd in that car. Remember, he's replacing Harry Gant in the March 1 Racing Chevrolet. Gant broke his leg back in Charlotte and is scheduled to return in the Pocono race on the 24th of July. Rick Wilson, number 4. Van Barton, Florida, runs out in front of this field and runs all alone. As you suggested, Johnny Rutherford, we were looking for a lot of long strings of cars drafting, but several times today we've seen the leader, like we're watching Rick Wilson, really running all alone, merely picking up the draft of some other cars that are not part of the serial.
Yes, he's able to utilize the other cars. Right now he's having a bit of trouble with Bill Elliott trying to get by him, but he has not had problems to this point in just passing whoever he comes to.
Rick Wilson picked up the lead just past the midway point of this race. Dale Earnhardt dominated in the early going, now rides in second place. We'll be back with more from the Firecracker 400 after this.
notice that came in along with everybody else on the second green flag.
What are you figuring, Jer?
Well, I just talked to Childers. He said they can go 48 laps maximum, and depending upon the caution, they're really gambling. They know they can go 48 laps.
Yeah.
They hit it with 50 to go.
Well, and here's what's going on here. That's why Wilson's coming back in to top the tank. They figured it out, and they were off by 1 lap.
Well, Earnhardt's going to gamble.
Yep. We're back at Daytona International, the Firecracker 400. Under yellow, Dale Earnhardt is the leader. We're back at Daytona International, the Firecracker 400 under yellow, and they are coming back to green. The yellow came out. Quick little incident involving Ken Reagan, Johnny Rutherford. We watch here. Rick Wilson, car 4, was the leader. That's Reagan in the 77 car down on the inside.
Yes, this is the classic, Paul. You see him getting pulled around. The draft of the cars, 2 cars going by a little quicker, pulls him around, and he does a very good job in maintaining control.
I guess we'll be doing it again. Head back to tape. We're back at Daytona International, the Firecracker 400. Dale Earnhardt is the leader of the race. The yellow is out. This is the second yellow of the day, and this was the incident. Rick Wilson in car 4 was the leader, but keep your eyes on Ken Reagan, number 77, down on the inside.
Yes, you can see this is the classic, Paul. 2 faster cars passing a slower car. They get the draft, pull him around, and he does a marvelous job in saving the thing. He finally gets down onto the apron, slides. The tires are blowing out at this point. The car is sliding, but he keeps it out of the racing groove. He's able to get off of the racetrack, get the car back under control, and drive it back to the pits for new tires.
Back, drive it around, pick up some new rubber. So looking up to turn 4 right now, Dale Earnhardt will lead the race. Rick Wilson runs in second place, followed by Morgan Shepherd, Ken Schrader, and Sterling Marlin. Watching for green now. Earnhardt sitting to the high side. As the pace picks up, and Earnhardt now charges out in front and for the lead. Now remember, Earnhardt is concerned not only with a checkered flag here, but he is concerned with that $150,000 from the Winston Cup Points Fund paid at the halfway point of the season. Johnny Rutherford, as we watch Dale Earnhardt, that number 3 car, the question seems to be one of fuel. Can they make it to the end of the race with the fuel that they've all picked up?
Well, that is the big question. And we saw Rick Wilson make a pit stop on the last lap before this green came out to try to top his tank off to have as much available to him as he possibly could when the green came out. You notice the cars lined up 2 abreast there. The outside line are cars on the same lap. The inside line are all cars that are 1 lap or more down for the rest of the pack. So that's why we see them. Now we can see Labonte there racing on the inside, so he's obviously not running too badly.
Abate, Mike Alexander down on the inside. They are running off the leader pace. The leader is Earnhardt. He is followed by Schrader. And then battle goes on for third place as Waltrip and Marling were fighting there for a moment.
Now we're going to see that long drafting train start developing, because these guys at this point, this late stage of the race, will utilize that draft to try to save just a little bit of fuel if they can, and to be able to maintain the leader in sight so they can make moves, and it will make it very exciting when they get down to the very end of this race.
So Ken Schrader now chases Dale Earnhardt, and on the last lap he was up real high as he tried to get up behind Earnhardt. Kenny Schrader running in second place, Earnhardt in the lead, of course, and that is a Chevrolet and a Chevrolet. It's interesting that drafting has become such an art, Johnny Rutherford, that they now even calculate which car they would really rather run with. What make a car and what combination makes for a better draft.
They've even gone into the wind tunnel with different body shapes to try to decide which ones will work the best here, Paul.
117 laps are complete. The scheduled distance, 160 laps, or 400 miles here at Daytona International. Dale Earnhardt out in front with Schrader in back and chasing. To turn 3 now. Earnhardt looking for another victory this season. Three-time Winston Cup champion. Past 2 years, one at Atlanta and Martinsville. Certainly would like to put a Daytona mark in his column this season, especially here, and especially if he can keep Rusty Wallace at bay in that fight for the $150,000.
Wouldn't it be interesting to be able to read the guys' minds right now and to say, what are you doing, Darrell Waltrip? Are you going to run all the way to the end while everyone else makes a stop? Or what is going on, Dale Earnhardt? Are you, do you have the capability of staying up there? And he's obviously strong. He's run up front most of the day, so he's very good.
So Dale Earnhardt leads it. Let's go down to the pits now, Jackaroo.
Johnny Rutherford, I've got the answer for you as far as what's on Darrell Waltrip's mind. He's radioed into his crew and said, we're going all the way. Now, the longest they've gone is 47 laps. If he hopes to go without another pit stop, he'll have to do 50 this time by. Back up to you.
Well, they've been averaging just over 169 miles an hour. The race record run at 173 miles an hour, but with just 2 caution periods, the average speed has been high. And, of course, the faster you go, the further you go, the more fuel you are burning.
Yes, and that's why we're seeing this draft train. The cars all staying back there. Darrell Waltrip is obviously not concerned at this point with making any moves that's going to cost him any more drag than he has to have, so he can have an opportunity to be at the right place at the right time.
Back at the front of the field, Earnhardt, chased by Schrader. Let's go to the pits, Gary Punch.
Well, it's nail-biting time in the Earnhardt pit. They know they can go 48 laps. They feel comfortable they can make it 48 laps. They pitted on lap 110. That gives them 50 to go to the checkered flag. They asked Earnhardt, do you want to come in and top the takeoff? He said, no, let's gamble. I've never won at Daytona. I need to win today. Earnhardt gambling to make it all the way to the checkered flag.
All right, for Earnhardt, there is now 120 laps complete, or 40 to go to the finish of the Firecracker 400. We'll be back with more after this.
Understand why Rick Wilson was stopped at the hill. He's back mid-pack now and charging. All right. I saw Rick Wilson. He's really moving.
Firecracker 400. I'm Paul Page with Johnny Rutherford, Jack Arute, and Jerry Punch. 122 laps of the 160 lap scheduled distance now complete. We've had 17 different lead changes among 8 different men. 2 caution periods. Big melee on the second lap that took out 6 cars, and then a quick little caution period when Ken Reagan spun while running alongside the leader at the time, Rick Wilson. But fortunately, Reagan kept the car under control down across the grass, didn't hit anything, and in fact got back into competition. Dale Earnhardt is now leading the 25 car of Ken Schrader. 2 Chevrolets out in front of this race, and then an interval back. Third place is now Phil Parsons, then Sterling Marlin, Darrell Waltrip, and Bill Elliott running together on the track. But the fight is for the lead, and the question is gas. Do you have enough on board to make it to the end of the race? Well, we've now polled everybody at the front of the field, and they all say that they're going to try and run to the end. So they're going to take the gamble, especially Earnhardt, who has never won here.
You know, the only thing that could really clinch the thing for them is to have a caution, no matter how long a caution it is, just enough to get them out of the throttle so they can save those precious few drops of fuel for the end of the race. So it'll be interesting now to watch and see if anything does happen, Paul, that will let them have that luxury, and then we'll see what unfolds. But if it goes green to the end of the thing, we're looking at a bunch of crossed fingers down there in the pits.
A lot of prayers going to be said down there if they stay green all the way. Now, as we keep an eye on the front runner, Earnhardt, concentrate on Schrader. Schrader has never won in the Winston Cup. He finished first in a 125-mile qualifier here, but in 1987. And in that race, he nipped Bill Elliott right at the finish. The fight still in the front of this field.
Yes, and we can see Phil Parsons moving up into third position there. He is on the move, and he's had an exceptional season this year with his victory at Talladega, so he's hungry. He knows what this victory is all about, and he would like to pay another visit to Victory Lane and have some champagne, I'm sure. But they're moving in. Darrell Waltrip is sitting right there in a spot to where if he has the plan he had laid out for himself.
Schrader.
Yes,
Schrader comes around Earnhardt now. Earnhardt dropped down low on that previous lap, and Schrader picks up the lead, and you can see that the front runners have all now closed down and are all in attack position as Earnhardt drops back into second place. Parsons was up there challenging it well, and Schrader picks up the lead. Now here comes Parsons pulling up behind Earnhardt as Earnhardt comes to the inside of Ken Schrader. He's got the advantage of pulling Parsons with him. Bill Elliott is just behind, and then Rick Wilson. Elliott moved up into 5th place. First time at the top 5 all day. He's really been struggling to come up to the front of this field, but now Earnhardt forges his way past.
He started in 38th starting spot, so that's a pretty good move for Bill Elliott. He is asserting himself, moving now into third position past Bill Parsons, and I would have thought that Earnhardt might have been content to sit back there and draft for a little while, but that's not Darrell's nature, I guess. He's wanting to get out front and lead this thing.
Dale Earnhardt leads the race. Schrader drops back to second place despite that challenge that Schrader made for the lead just a few moments ago. And now running in third place is Elliott, who has moved up to get ahead of Rick Wilson, and Phil Parsons, who was challenging at the front, has now dropped back to 5th. And that's what we talked about at the beginning of the race, and that is that the way this restrictor plate pulls your horsepower, if you get out of line and try to make a pass, that's exactly what will happen.
Well, this is where we will see this long train start to develop. As it gets down toward the last few laps, everybody will start making their moves and making the strength, showing the strength that they have, and they'll start moving up. And we've got the same group that's been leading this thing all day running up front, so it'll be interesting.
Before the race, the question to our race leader, Dale Earnhardt, what about these restrictor plates? fight for second place as Bill Elliott comes up to challenge Kenny Schrader. Elliott down on the inside. Rick Wilson is sitting there trying to decide which one he's going to draft as the challenge now comes for the lead. Elliott down on the inside. That's Schrader just behind Earnhardt. Slower traffic running just ahead as they work their way past. Elliott is now dropping back as Schrader takes advantage of that slower car and forces Elliott back into third. Rick Wilson runs fourth.
Well, that is really racing.
And the yellow flag flies. No indication as the reason for the yellow, but John, this is exactly what we were talking about. If you get a yellow, it's going to give everybody a run to the finish.
It certainly will, Paul. There, Sterling Marlin has had a problem. He's obviously brushed the wall
Reason for the yellow.
Down in turn 3, and there he sits on the apron, dead in the water.
So as Sterling Marlin, the 44 car, rolls to a stop, as Sterling tries to figure out what to do about his Oldsmobile, the rest of the pack races around to the line, and Dale Earnhardt looks like he is going to head down into the pits. So Earnhardt rolls down onto the pit road for a splash of gasoline, and I think everybody's decided that's probably the smart thing to do here. So as Earnhardt pits, Ken Schrader picks up the lead. We are under yellow. We'll be back after this.
Everybody's taking on long stops, 4 tires. Earnhardt gets in. Waltrip gets away. Buddy Baker gets away.
We're back at the Firecracker 400 under caution. The reason for the caution is the 44 car, which now rolls down the pit road. Apparently, Sterling Marlin had his problems, got up against the wall coming off of the 4th turn. Let's go to the pits, Jerry Punch.
Sterling Marlin just climbed out of the car. Sterling, what happened?
Well, it looks like we cut a tire down going in 3, because the Piedmont under all those run good all day, and had a good shot there. Was in the top 5, and after it restarted, the car just kept pushing, and Jake thought it was chassis just too tight, and evidently we had a tire going down, and finally blowed out and hit the wall.
Sterling, you were strong early on. Who is left? Who is who's the stout man now out there as far as Wilson or Earnhardt or any of the rest of the guys? Who's strong?
Well, it's just going to depend on who gets where. These stricker plates, it's just almost impossible to pass. It's pretty close, but 3 car, 4, I don't know where the 9 come from, but 25, any of them, all of them.
Safety crew just picked up your car and moved it away. I guess they felt it's through for the day. No chance of getting back.
They killed it.
Sterling Marlin out.
So Sterling Marlin, quick little brush with destiny, and that brings out the caution, which ensures everyone will have enough fuel to run to the end of this race. Out in front of the pack, the 25 car of Ken Schrader will lead them back after the yellow flag. We'll be back with the finish of the Firecracker 400, but let's go now to Frank Gifford.
cars on the lead lap. Amazing.
Al, we're back at the Firecracker 400, working the 135th lap under yellow, but scheduled to come back to green very shortly. Ken Schrader leads the race, followed by Elliott, Wilson, Shepard, Dale Earnhardt. There are 8 cars currently on the leader lap. Buddy Baker in 7th, Phil Parsons running in 8th, and then Lake Speed is 1 lap behind the leader, followed by Greg Sachs. 135 laps being completed now, 8 different leaders. And, of course, the race average with the cautions is slowed down to 164 miles an hour. So Ken Schrader eyes the green flag. Green flag is out. Earnhardt makes a move, back running in 5th place right now as he tries to work his way up to the front. Bill Elliott runs in 2nd, but eyes on the number 3 car, that black machine of Earnhardt, as he pulls up behind Rick Wilson and tries to find some racing room on the high side.
This is where you definitely want to get in that line, Paul. You can't get caught down low because the outside line will drive away from you. So you have to find a niche in there, move in, and then start working your strategy.
And Schrader, the Chevrolet, by the way, the car that he drives was a car that served Tim Richmond very well, winning the '86 Firecracker in that same automobile. The number 25 car, the number 9 Ford of Elliott just behind as Elliott closes up. Then Rick Wilson, the yellow number 4, is actually the car running in 3rd, but the challenge for 3rd is with Dale Earnhardt down on the inside. Earnhardt running alone, no draft to his advantage here.
Well, that is amazing that Bill Elliott has come from 38th spot, running in 2nd. So smooth, so quiet. That's just kind of the way Dollar Bill does it. He just moves in there and asserts himself.
1st and 2nd, Schrader, Elliott, and Dale Earnhardt continues his challenge with Rick Wilson for 3rd place. Wilson has 3rd at the moment.
This is really dicey running because you have all of the cars lined up very close together. The air is all but clean. It's making your car buffet around and bump around, so you've got to be very cautious so you can recognize any part of the car, anything that gets out of shape. I mean, you know, you're running in there, you don't know for sure because it's bumping around so hard. And this is the time when you have to make all of the shots count.
1st is Schrader, followed by Elliott. Interestingly, the 2 leaders are running just over 189 miles an hour. Interesting because Bill Elliott qualified at 184 miles an hour. So at this moment, as Elliott goes for the lead, he is actually racing 5 miles an hour faster than he qualified. And Elliott, followed by Wilson now. As Elliott pulls Wilson up into 2nd place, Elliott takes the lead.
There was a chance where they hooked up together. Rick Wilson has been running strong all day. We have watched him a number of times move out into the lead and get out by himself and just run alone. So he got in behind Elliott and kind of pushed, I'm sure, and went right on by and looked like they're hooked up, making a little daylight.
Earnhardt tried to run alone. It didn't work for him, as now Earnhardt drops back into the pack. And Elliott sits out at the front of the field. Then Rick Wilson and Darrell Waltrip makes his move up and picks up 3rd spot in that battle with Earnhardt as Earnhardt drops backwards.
I think Darrell Waltrip might be the sleeper here. He's been running extremely well all day. He's been staying right there in striking position. So Now we'll see. He'll hold this position, I'm sure, and make his move when it counts.
There was an indication at one point that Darrell Waltrip would try and play the tactical game and hopefully go further on his tank of gas than anybody else, and then he made a stop right in schedule with everyone else. So if that was the game plan, it looks like they pitched it out the window. Nevertheless, there is no factor with fuel now. It is a run to the finish of this race with 138 laps complete. First is Bill Elliott, then Wilson, and then Darrell Waltrip.
This group of cars is very evenly matched. I would have thought at this point that Dale Earnhardt might have pushed his way up to the front a little bit, but here again the restrictor plate comes into play, and you can see that everyone is kind of settling down, feeling their way around. They don't want to move out of that line and shuffle back, so they've got to hold on until it counts.
Darrell Waltrip currently running in third place. Said at the beginning of the day that if he has a routine day, then he'll win the race. So a confident Darrell Waltrip runs in third place right now. As you look at his number 17 car, that's the 25 car of Schrader that's receiving the challenge by Earnhardt. And look at Earnhardt as he pulls up alongside Schrader, past Waltrip, and into third place.
Well, so much for my guess about Earnhardt. There he goes. He's set back there and figured out his plan of attack. Figured the weaknesses, moved up, and now he's going to put himself into position to be in the right place at the right time.
So Earnhardt in a Chevrolet that has proven to be very, very strong, running alone, now moves into third place, and behind Rick Wilson, the leader of the race, is Bill Elliott with just 20 laps to go. We'll be back with more after this. Firecracker 400, 145 laps are now complete. Bill Elliott is out in front, a man who has twice won the Daytona 500 on this very track. He's been chased by a man who has never won, Rick Wilson. As we take a look at the top of the order, the top 8 cars are all running on the leader lap. And there you see the number 9 car of Elliott leading. In third place now is Dale Earnhardt in number 3 as he's moved his way around Darrell Waltrip, and now Phil Parsons fights with Waltrip for 4th place. The fight on the course is at 4th position. First, second, and third running a string.
There you can see Phil Parsons making his move, not quite getting by. He needs help from that guy behind him to kind of push him on by Waltrip. But now they're going to start getting into their positions. The stage is set. They have to move into the right position to be able to go for it. With the restrictor plate, that's not very easy because you can only gain inches at a time.
Ken Schrader sits up right behind Parsons. With that restrictor plate, the script would have been that one waits until the absolute last moment, the last corner of the last lap, and then darts out of the draft and moves past the car in front of him. But you don't have that kind of power anymore, so you've got to get up and get into position early and decide where you're going to make your roll.
I think that's why, Paul, we've seen Bill Elliott make his moves. He might have done the right thing and just making the moves, getting to the front, taking advantage while everyone else was kind of thinking about what they were going to do. He moved out there, and he might well stay there to the end.
Bill Elliott wins this year, looking for a win here in the Firecracker. 2 wins at Daytona, 25 in his history with the Winston Cup. And keep in mind that Rusty Wallace still runs back in mid-pack, but still has the points lead at this point. Dale Earnhardt would love to get up into the front of the field. Wallace is 14th. Earnhardt is running in 3rd place right now. And whoever has the most points among those 2 men at the conclusion of this race will be $150,000 richer. Bill Elliott, number 9, is Ford out in front. Rick Wilson, the Oldsmobile, runs in 2nd. Earnhardt, a Chevrolet, runs in 3rd. And there you see Waltrip, another Chevy, sitting just back and forth.
Bill Parsons has stopped his attack on Waltrip. He's kind of moved into the line, waiting to see what will develop. Because, like I say, at this point, inches is all you can gain with the restrictor plate. The car, it's very exasperating because you sit out there running in that line, you've got to wait for the right moment. Wait till someone slips or something happens to start a chain reaction down the line to where the guy just cracks the throttle back. When he does, you can take advantage of him. But right now, that is a stalemate.
I'll tell you what, on board that 2nd place car, Rick Wilson has to be a very happy man at the moment, despite the fact that he's not in the lead. He is in striking position, and he has never been this far up toward the end of a race. His best finish has been 7th 3 times. Now, with 10 laps to go, he's sitting there in 2nd place. He's got to be happy with his position. But the key position at this race is, of course, Bill Elliott, number 9, out in front. Wilson is 2nd, Earnhardt is 3rd. We'll be back with more after this.
can, so they know that they can pick up their ride.
Yep. We're back at the Firecracker with just over 4 laps to go. Now they come across the stripe. 4 laps to the finish of this 400-mile run. In first is Bill Elliott. Rick Wilson sits in second. Dale Earnhardt and then Darrell Waltrip. But Earnhardt and Waltrip are taking a hard look at how to get past the first 2 place cars. And they're hooked up and they've been working together.
Yes, we've seen Elliott move down low to the bottom and Waltrip move in right behind him, so they may be thinking of a draft situation to try to push each other, take each other by the lead 2 cars, which is going to be a tough job because Elliott is certainly showing more than he has all weekend as far as practice and qualifying. Came from 38 starting spot and is now leading this thing, and Rick Wilson is putting his best ever show together.
Earnhardt's tried that move several times in the past few laps where he drops out of the line all the way down to the low side. Johnny, is he testing to see what he can do on perhaps the last lap?
I think he wants to see if his car will stick down there, and he's showing Waltrip that it will. So he may be issuing an invitation to Darrell, come on, let's see if we can go by these guys. So it'll bear watching.
That's Phil Parsons, the number 55 car that runs in 5th place right now. Rick Wilson is glued right on the back bumper of the leader, Bill Elliott. Wilson, with 10 laps to go last year, was in this position, 2nd place, but then crashes in the final lap took Wilson out of the running. I'm sure that's going through his mind as well as he chases Bill Elliott. Again, Dale Earnhardt comes down on the inside and takes a look at running in the low groove.
We can see Darrell has dropped back a little bit there, but I don't think it's any problem. He's just kind of coasting, seeing where he'll fit in. They may be getting ready to make their move. They're going to have to do something here if they're going to pretty quick.
4 times in history, the lead has changed on the last lap at the Firecracker. Will it happen again this year? Elliott has run a good race, and of course he has victories here on this track. So Bill Elliott out in front with the help of Rick Wilson. Elliott started 38, now runs in 1st place, and is he looking at a win in the Firecracker? Well, the spoiler could be the combination of Earnhardt and Waltrip, as here comes Earnhardt in 3rd place, car number 3, down on the inside once again. And again, Waltrip lays back just a bit and stays out of that pull. Out in front, Rick Wilson, look at him. He maneuvers right behind Bill Elliott.
I think he's going to have to stay right there if he has a chance. The white flag is out, 1 more lap, so now's the time, the last lap. If anybody's going to do anything, this is when it'll happen.
The guesswork is over. Wilson moves down out of his more familiar position of directly behind Elliott, tries a little bit on the low side. Remember, too, that depending on where they place their car relative to the car in front of them, then they can actually affect the handling of that car in front of them by spoiling the way air is coming off the back of the car. But look at Earnhardt. Earnhardt closes up behind Wilson and then has to fall back as Wilson makes his move down to the inside. He is alongside Bill Elliott. Wilson alongside, pushes a nose just ahead. Will this be the first victory for Wilson? Elliott is alongside now. Elliott forges ahead, and Elliott with a nose just ahead of Wilson at the line as they touch, coming across to finish this race. Elliott wins the Firecracker with Wilson in 2nd place by inches.
Well, there was experience against youth. You saw Rick Wilson make his move. He did it a little bit soon, and Elliott still had the momentum he knew to be able to come up on the outside and pick him up by just a couple of feet at the finish line. What a finish.
Ernie Elliott and the crew, I think, somewhat uncertain as to how the finish actually occurred. But it was Bill Elliott out in front of Rick Wilson. Earnhardt finishes in 3rd.
Parsons did a bonsai and did him? Yeah, he did. Good. Bill Parsons got two of them. We're going to touch them. No. Door handle. Good. Which is right. He's posting a different story. Yeah. He finished third. That's 2 third places. Yeah, 2 third places for Phil Parsons this year. Yep. How are the places? When we do this replay, we got to do both the lead and that third place.
Let's take a look again at the finish of this race. At this point, approaching the line, it is Wilson out in front. And look at that 3-car battle for third place. But back at the lead, it is Elliott just barely over the line ahead of Wilson. Then they touch door handles. They almost both lose it. They get it back under control. And at the same time, Phil Parsons was able to move past Waltrip and Earnhardt and pick up third place. Now, let's talk with our new winner, Bill Elliott. Here's Jackaroo.
I'll play it through.
I could do anything but that one car behind me, this car was flying. Well, now last week up in Michigan, you caught the leader, couldn't do anything with it. The car went away. Today it looks like it's the exact opposite situation. But the car drove so wonderful. I mean, all day long. You know, I can see watching them guys so bad through the corner, and then they just drive back by me. I'm playing, we get back to the corner, and I drive back down. And when the 4 car got behind me, we could go home man for some reason. Then I could go on to it, run wide open in the corner, and he helped me down the street.
Time just a little later. Might have been able to hold Bill off, but that's a hard one to call.
Let's take a look at the finish again now. That's Rick Wilson approaching the line in the bright yellow number 4, and Elliott to the outside. Wilson for the moment had it, and then as they hit the line, it was Elliott ahead. At the same time, a 3-way battle for third that Phil Parsons won by getting around Earnhardt and Waltrip. Now, let's go to winner's circle and talk with Billy Elliott. Here's Jackaroo.
Everything just kept turning around. When 4 car got behind it, they started picking up position. And then when that green flag came back again and he was behind it, we were able to stay in front of the rest of the guys. That's what it should. You know, he just about beat me back to the line. I think he made the move just a little bit later.
Well, he completed you at the exit of turn number 4, and you really didn't put this thing away until just the start of pit road, and that last 300 feet for the checkered flag. Coming on 4. What were you thinking?
Let's take a look at the finish one more time here. That is Rick Wilson on the inside to the right, and Bill Elliott to the outside. Coming to the line, Wilson had it, and then Elliott just inched ahead at the line. At the same time, Parsons won the 3-way battle for third place. Now, let's go to winner's circle to talk with Bill Elliott. Here's Jackaroo.
Bill, congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, we're overtime to get this one checked in the garage today, sir.
Well, let's get to work with Darrell Walker, too.
Yeah, I'm ready. Give me a ride.
Yeah, good job, big guy.
Might have waited too late.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Want it from 38.
Okay.
Did I do all right?
Bill Parsons live by both Dustin and mine, so it was a gamble. Nobody had a car any faster than anybody else. Praise the Lord for
Yeah.
a safe day. Congratulations.
Well, Bill Elliott, you came from the back of the pack, but you had to stave off Rick Wilson. A lot of yellow paint on the car in that last lap.
Yeah,
Well, it got pretty hairy there at the end, but I knew he'd be the car to beat because with him behind me, I could run pretty good. The only thing he did was he made his move a little bit too early, and he didn't get a good enough run and go, but still he almost beat me. If the finish line had been on at the exit of the trial, well, he'd have beat me, but you know, that's the way it goes. The car just picked up enough to pull back past him, and he wasn't able to pick it back up quick enough.
Hard work all day, or did you have a feeling that you were going to be able to take this one home?
About 100 laps in the race, I had no idea because I was almost a lap down. We blistered one tire, and it seemed like what started out bad got worse, but then the last 50 laps, it just got better and better. When the 4 car got behind me and we saw we could run quick together, you know, then he helped me. That's all there was to it. He helped me to get to where I'm at.
Well, Jerry Punch is with the other combatant on that last lap. Jerry?
Well, red paint on the side of this Oldsmobile for Rick Wilson, the hometown driver from nearby Bartow. And Rick, did you make the move a little bit too early?
Well, I might have it. You know, the car was running awful good. Bill couldn't run a lick by himself, but I could run with me and him hooked together. We could run real good. I just waited the last lap, and I thought I'd made it, but I thought Earnhardt was going to go with me. That was my big mistake there. He's been going to the bottom, and I thought he would go, and if he did, I could have beat him. And I pulled up beside him until we got up close to the finish line. I thought I had him, but that Ford just started pulling. But I want to say the Kodak Penn Oldsmobile team done a great job today. They kept me up front. The car worked great, and this is our best finish, and just thank the Lord for a safe race.
Rick Wilson finishing second here at Daytona.
You went over a couple of tires there in the corner, and he'll get $750 from folks in Cities Manufacturing, and a $250 contribution as well going to the Brenner Children's Hospital in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Let's go back to that. Well, Rick Wilson, of course, come home in second place in the Kodak Oldsmobile. Rick, it looked like when you were coming off turn 4 that you had it. And sure did. I thought I did. I told him running in the middle of the corner there. Full bang, but I thought Bill was going to go with me or somebody. Nobody went. I knew I was going to be in trouble. We got on the flat car coming to the trial before we get stopped. I seen Bill coming, so we got together and that evened us up a little bit. You know, it was a win, so I was going to do the same as he was. You know, he beat me by 10 inches. He ran a good race, so I just want to say, Kodak Penn Oldsmobile, he done a great job today. Keep me up front. We're going to do this a lot more this year. Well, you does feel that that win is all been close. Yes, it is. You can't get much closer today other than winning. Rick Wilson coming home in second place. It was a very philosophical after getting feet right to start finish line.
Say when you run like he did today, you don't have anything to hang your head and shame about. That goes for the other guys that run up there and think things all.
Just a second. Don't you also want to put in a panel with the points?
This time down in Houston, Maine, I'd like to introduce Jim Cowan, the area vice president for Pensacola Company. Jim? Thank you. Great race, Bill. I'll tell you what. Coming all the way from the back of the pack. Winning that race by not very big margin, but you won it. On behalf of Pensacola, I'd like to give you the Pensacola trophy for the 30th Firecracker 400, the winner of the Pensacola Firecracker 400, Bill Elliott. Well, I certainly appreciate it. All the foundation players have done a great job. Without those help, I wouldn't be here today. We got thank a lot of people back in the garage. Back out worked real hard on this car back in the meeting. When I was qualified, we thought we brought out the rental car. We the race went on and on. So we had a good day. We appreciate all the people today. Thank you.
Mike?
Have to go with Bill Elliott for this call for Bill. Captain Gonzalez. Well, Eli, I'll have to put another vote in there for Bill Elliott. We watched him here lap after lap run with Rick Wilson, just trying to stay on that lead lap, just waiting for a caution so he could catch back up, and that's exactly what happened. It put him in the position to win the race as he did. So, Michael, will vote for Bill Elliott. Jared, what do you think? Well, Eli, of course, I couldn't see a lot of movement made on the racetrack as a result of being here to see it, but during that second lap crash coming off of turn 4, I did see Michael Walker make a move. He came down pit road to avoid some of the cars out on the track. He made a good move there, taking his own car, perhaps they needed someone else. So I'm going to nominate Michael Walker. Mike Short. Well, this is going to go in a different direction, but I've got to go back to Dave Martin. She run 57. You're brave enough to go try to run 57 laps on the tank again. There were 52 laps that ended up, and nobody else even came close to that today. I mean, that's worth a try. I had already written down Michael Waltrip on the sheet here before we'd even heard from them. That very nice move, very much, we didn't really spend much time on it. But when everybody else was spinning, Michael Waltrip just kept that country time eliminating machine straight ahead, and he found himself going right through the problems and picked up the nomination from me. How about from the garage area, Bob Pierce?
Well, as you know, we saw a lot of terrific pit work or garage work, as we always do with unsung heroes. Benny Parsons, who did a fantastic job. Kenny Bouchard, who did a great job getting him back out. But I'll have to go with the call in turn 2 with Joe Moore and Ken Reagan spin. That could have been another one of those melees that we had like at the second lap of this race, where it started with so many cars going in the garage. Ken kept the cool head, kept the car down, not in trouble, and I think I'll have to give him a nod for that reason.
And as per usual with Firecracker, Barney, go right ahead.
There were a couple of questions about that. Mike Walker did make a good move out there along with the other drivers that were nominated. But I'm going to go with Kenny Reagan also, because when that car spun almost full rate of speed, went down the edge of the track, and to keep it down there, it just dumb luck because the drivers got to put a lot of effort into it to make that thing stay down, because 8 out of 10 cars will go right back up in the 90s. My vote will go to Kenny Reagan.
So the Pete Cool Move of the Race Award money goes to Unadilla, Georgia. Ken Reagan, driver, takes home the honor today. As far as the Habitat for Close to No Cigar Award, we normally talk about it during the break, but I've got to nominate Rick Wilson. He only missed by less than a foot, so Rick Wilson will take home $200 for the folks at Habitat with the Close but No Cigar Award today. More coming up from Daytona Beach right after this.
Yes. We just need to know that Wallace was there. Yes. Okay. Okay. We have the information we need. And all I'm waiting on is see if Hadley can get a winner's
Firecracker 400, the CRW Mechanic of the Race Honor going to Dennis Connick, crew chief for the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet. Kenny Schrader, the driver there, with a strong run bunch of the day, came in home in 8th position. And the Michigan McFord engine builder of the race, and of course Ernie Elliott, by virtue of the victory from Bill Elliott, as the Hemming Tours Ford Thunderbird, and of course Rusty Walsh, able to hold on to that $150,000 mid-season payoff from Winston. It's a pretty good bonus here. Of course, Earnhardt can smile a little bit, $100,000 smile, which is a pretty big win, and then he's looking up for that. We're finishing second in points right now. We'll take you back and run that as far as we can, because we're going to have to review some of the tapes on this finish here before we can go back a little further. So we'll do that when we come back. Daytona International Speedway, this is MRN, the Motor Racing Network.
You know, it's not as much fun to come to Daytona and race as it used to be. Restrictors, there's too much controversy in them. They're, you know, some people maybe getting by with something, maybe not. NASCAR says they're not, but you know, there's always room to cheat there or let somebody by with something. If they's all racing the same thing, open competition type thing on the motors, it'd be hard to cheat. Just who got the best motor would run. So, you know, I'm really not for the restricted plate. It's not no fun racing the cars with them on there too.